the moment, I will give you an old Chinese traditional weapon dance. I haven't practiced for many years.
Asian Australians have one of the oldest immigration histories in Australia after the British, with a surge in migration from Vietnam and Cambodia after the White Australia policy was renounced in the 70s.
Since 1973, successive Labor and Liberal National Party governments have, with bipartisan support, pursued a racially non-discriminatory immigration policy to the overworld.
While issues around race still exist, there's another problem facing migrants, and Asian Australians especially, that might aptly be summarised by the fact many in our community don't say, "I love you."
我来中华的，有时候我喜欢运动啊，唱歌，我喜欢唱歌。
The Zhonghua Aged Care Centre offers a place for the elderly Asian community in Perth.
我先生过来不久就他走了，走了10几年了。
Some have lived busy lives full of hardship.
做完了就要7天，有时候做晚班，2点做到晚上2、3点才回来，有时候是这样。但是以前好像年轻的不觉得辛苦，不觉得累。现在我们要自己最主要就是健康，我们的年纪，如果不健康呢，有什么都不可以用。你不健康，你病的时候，我们也痛苦，孩子也辛苦，是吗？我只是想啊，如果到时最后的一段时间，如果不健康的话，最好就是给我顺利的一睡一觉就回家乡就可以，不要你这样跑，我不怕的。
Research shows Asian immigrants tend to be lonelier and have poorer mental health than people born in Australia.
Because that point I was so lonely, you see. My husband died for maybe 30 over years. Because he got a high blood stroke.
For some, this community is an antidote.
I think I better don't talk. When I talk, I start to cry.
No Lim continued raising their children in Australia after her husband's death.
They're all working now. They haven't got spare time to come and work. Now everybody's married. And everybody got their own family. I'm a free woman now. I don't have to look after anybody. Now all I do, I have to just look after myself. That's all.
Stories of struggle are common among younger Asian Australians as well. Stories of existing in a limbo between two cultures, between tradition and wanting to belong.
If we put to Australia, perspective would be about year 3. I start going to school by myself, fix my own lunch, and parents doesn't come home till maybe 4 or 5 in the evening. And most of the time when parents comes home, they are already tired and they have stuff to do as well.
Vincent, a first-generation immigrant from Singapore, lives with his wife, 2 elderly parents and 3 kids. 3 generations under one roof.
Singapore is my childhood place that I grew up. I know every single corner of Singapore. And friends and food is the main thing that I miss about Singapore.
A lot of them come when they are in adulthood, where a lot of the social networks are already established in their original culture and country. And when they come over here, they have to start all over again.
Attempting to adjust and assimilate into a mainstream culture can be a source of conflict for migrant families.
They might not have a lot of extended family support, which there would be in the original culture and country.
Many Asian migrants lack emotional support, even from their parents.
It's also not that easy to pour out everything and the whole feeling out to them. So a lot, I need to be able to sort of absorb it and somehow digest it by myself.
When they express their feelings and when they express disagreement and it usually gets shut down by the parents, they are unlikely to open up as much and they are less likely to allow room for feelings from their kids.
7岁我都做工了，7岁做什么工呢？做那个马路上那个草啊，生出来呢，长到斜斜了。因为我的爸爸没有爸爸了，我第三嘛，6姐妹嘛，我第三我要帮忙家里嘛，所以我没有读书，就不可以读书了。我都一直做工，做的钱拿回来帮忙养家了。
Nguyen and her husband eventually started a family and settled down in Singapore.
因为我的小儿子呢就结婚，跟一个女孩子结婚，结了婚呢生一个孩子，那个老婆又走了，我就带那个小孩子咯，带到我很辛苦，真正很辛苦，晚又流眼泪，早又流眼泪。我想怎样好呢？这个小孩子怎样几时照顾到他呢？因为我人也不大很好了，不大很好。等下我死了呢，那个小孩子怎样？很可怜的，没有妈妈照顾啊，很可怜的嘞。
A caregiver her entire life, she worked to feed and house her own siblings from just 7 years old, had 3 children and raised her grandchild as her own son. But Asian cultural norms mean she never learned how to express her feelings properly, and that inability to open up was passed on.
Talking about the intergenerational trauma, it actually acknowledges and validates some of the difficulties that they have experienced in their childhood.
Many Asian families don't say things like "I love you," but it's part of a wider cultural norm of suppressing emotions.
Asian parents do express love, but in a very indirect way. It's a conscious decision that I think, what would I want my kids to remember me as? So even though I didn't get a lot of that from my parents, of the verbal "I love you," I know that they love me, but I decided that I would do more of that for my kids. Yeah.
Because being a migrant that I migrate over to here, the first thing is to be able to provide food on the table. As now my kids are growing up older as well, I don't find they are able to open themselves that open to me as well. They are also sort of moving towards the same growing up as what I am. Maybe that is the presentation of myself being a father, for the last 20 over years. So, yeah.
Baba, I love you.
I love you too, son.